In this video, Ben Davison highlights a certain idiosyncrasy which Tyson Fury has that he says Deontay Wilder capitalized on in the first fight. If you look at this image here, I know it's very small, you can see Tyson Fury is touching his face with his right glove. And Ben Davison refers to this as Tyson Fury having a little mental reset. So the way this works is when you're in the ring, especially in a very high stakes fight against a big puncher, you have to concentrate so intensely that it becomes tiring on you mentally. So every so often, you'll have one of these mental resets, as Ben Davison says, which is only a split second, but it's just a way to refocus yourself, because having to concentrate so intensely without any kind of breaks is difficult. All right, so these fighters have these mental resets from time to time. Now, if your opponent knows the signs to look for when you're having that little mental reset and they decide to throw a punch at that time, they may be able to catch you. And that's what Ben Davison says happened in the 12th round to Tyson Fury against Wilder in the first fight. Wilder recognized he was just having that little mental reset, which is basically a split second lapse in concentration. And that's when Wilder threw the shot that dropped Fury. And he also talks about Wilder having his own mental reset, which is where he starts bouncing up and down in one spot. Now, one thing Ben Davison doesn't talk about in this video is how you can use your little idiosyncrasies to your advantage to trick your opponent into thinking you're having a mental reset or a lapse in concentration. So let's say you're a counterpuncher. You want your opponent to throw a right hand because you're planning to duck underneath it or slip to one side and then counter back with your own shot. But you're in the middle of the ring and he's not throwing, he's not going for your feints. Well, if he's been studying your idiosyncrasies and he thinks you're going to have a mental reset when you touch your face, well, then you can trigger his right hand by doing it. And you're not really having a mental reset. You're fully focused and fully concentrated, but you touch your face because you want to draw the right hand lead. Okay? This is something which Tyson Fury could use to his advantage in the Wilder rematch. He could confuse Wilder, make him go for your little fake mental reset. And then the next time you do it, he's going to think, hang on, am I going to miss? Is he going to make me pay? You can make a guy hesitant with stuff like that. Yeah, it's the same way that feints work, essentially. So the most intelligent fighters, and when it comes to intelligence, I'm not talking about IQ levels. I'm talking about ring intelligence. And a lot of the time, ring intelligence is an innate thing. It's not always something that people teach you. Obviously, you learn a certain amount from experience and trainers and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of it is innate. So when you get these young kids who come in a gym for the first time, they're learning how to box, some of them just instinctively are better at recognizing certain patterns in their opponent and reacting, either defensively or offensively. Now, other fighters, or, other youngsters are not so good at that. Okay. Now, an example of a fighter who's very athletically gifted, but doesn't have very good eyes, he's not very good at reacting, at least not defensively, is Amir Khan. Was never good at that. Okay. So you had to formulate a very, very strict strategy and regime to get Khan through a fight, especially if he was fighting somebody that can bang a bit. But other fighters are so good at reading what the opponent is doing, the body language, that it's not to say you don't have to teach them anything. Of course you do, because some fighters know when to react, either offensively or defensively, but they don't know how to react. So what I mean is, when they notice their opponent is about to throw a right hand, they make a defensive maneuver. They anticipate it, but it might not be the right defensive maneuver. They might dip to the left when really and truly they should be blocking the punch or slipping the punch. Or they might pull their head back when instead they should be blocking it, etc., etc. It's different requirements for different scenarios against different opponents. Yeah. The same defensive moves are not necessarily going to work against every opponent and in every situation. You might want to use different defensive moves depending on what part of the fight it is. If you're tired and things are slowing down, you might want to, block a bit more. If you're full of energy early in a fight, you might want to slip a bit more. It all depends. Okay. But those are some things to look out for in any fight, not just this fight, is idiosyncrasies and the way you can use them to trick your opponent. I mean, for example, Leo Santa Cruz has that weird idiosyncrasy where he shakes his right hand. And maybe it's like a tick. Maybe it's something he has no conscious control over. Or maybe he uses it to try and throw you off. Because again, the more advanced fighters do that. They will use their idiosyncrasies to throw you off and make you think that you're reading them when actually they're tricking you. Yeah. So, because in this video here, Ben Davison basically says that when he was training Fury, he said, Tyson, if you're going to do that idiosyncrasy thing, you need to take a step back or a step to the side or do something after you do it in anticipation of, Wilder's punch coming at you. But really and truly, of course, you want to do that in some instances, but in other instances, you want to use it as a trigger to draw that lead, make him miss and make him pay. So just some food for thought there, people. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel. It's happening. I'm out.